In this video, we'll be discussing why and how Carlos Prates makes Leon Edwards innie and outie at UFC 322. As usual, we have the Trust Me Bro, I own UFC Fight Pass checkpoint slide. I actually researched the matchups in order to get my predictions together and to do this breakdown of the fight. I watched both of the fighters' performances. Carlos Prates highlight reel outside of the Ian Gary fight took me all of about 10 minutes to get through because just a series of first round knockouts. Leon Edwards is a bit more footage there. But for Edwards' tape, I mostly focused on the first and second Usman fights, Belal Muhammad, Colby Covington, and his most recent scrap against Sean Brady. So, I'm basing my assessments off of footage and not feeling. I will be providing counter arguments to the points that I make, and I will not be beefing with anybody who does not purchase a monthly subscription to UFC Fight Pass. Also, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you did enjoy the last breakdown video, or if you're new to the channel through watching this video and you want to not miss any other content. Only if you enjoy the video, of course. It's free, and you can unsubscribe later. Like and comment as well. It helps the channel out. Okay, so this is the biggest thing that I think is going to make it so that Carlos Prates separates Leon Edwards from his donkey in the fight. Despite being technically perfect whenever he throws strikes, Leon does have one of the lowest IQs in the welterweight division whenever we are talking about the top 15 rankings. He has very low finishing potential, even whenever he should smell blood in the water against like a clearly injured Colby Covington who's shambling around in front of him. He's just going to stick behind a jab and leg kick and outpoint him. And his brain hits a 360 YY Sui trick shot out of his skull whenever he's match made with a grappler. He's shooting takedowns on these guys. And yeah, he is completing them on certain occasions like against Belal Muhammad or like that one time against Usman. But this dude literally tried to take down Sean Brady and ended up getting controlled the entirety. I think it was round 3. And the reason why I feel like Leon Edwards has this IQ issue is because I think he himself gets bored of his own fighting style and he can't stay switched on for a long period of time. Past the second and third rounds, this guy sort of just starts coasting no matter where he is in the fight. And that usually lands him into trouble or some type of adversity that he has to fight through. Even earlier on in his career, Bryan Barberena almost chinned this dude and completely ruined the timeline. There would have been no Edwards versus Usman 2, where he could have landed that head kick if he got chinned by Bryan Barberena in 2016, 2017. Against Nate Diaz, he nearly was chinned. If Nate Diaz did an emo and actually pursued a finish, he could have potentially got Leon Edwards up out of there. And then Sean Brady, like I just talked about, shot a takedown in round 3 and ended up in a front headlock position and then got his back taken subsequently. I don't know what this dude be doing in there sometimes. Striking for Carlos Prates is instinctive and intuitive. He understands his frame. He understands where he's strongest in the cage. Leon Edwards seems to be overly focused on setups and not leading the dance. Carlos Prates is kind of like a flow state type of guy where he'll just act and go in accordance with feeling as opposed to does this look perfect? Or have I drawn up these O's and X's on the chalkboard in my game planning with my coach? Carlos Prates is just going to go for it. If you want to use an analogy here, Leon Edwards is like a science-based lifter who's focused on perfectly optimizing everything whenever it comes to his workouts. And Carlos Prates is one of these guys who just goes to the gym and trains to failure. And it could be argued that all that optimization and focus on perfectly effective training is junk, and all you really need to do is just show up and go hard as hell. With stating the difference in Carlos Prates and Leon Edwards' abilities in the striking, Leon Edwards has to grapple, and that's kind of ironic because he's been talking a bunch in interviews about, I fought all the grapplers in my division, I want to take matchups with strikers now. But he likely can't stand with Carlos Prates without utilizing takedowns similarly to how Ian Gary did. Either to complete the takedowns to get control time and to tire out Carlos Prates, or just to give Carlos Prates a different look, or to change angles, or to feint the shot in order to land some offense and then exit the pocket. Like I talked about before, for all the takedowns that Leon didn't complete against Usman and Brady, he did manage to take down Usman once and Belal twice. I think that a fighter like Jack Della Maddalena is the only dude in this weight class who can afford to not wrestle with Prates. They could just box. Another comparison that I'll draw. Prates is a momentum-based striker, like Yuri Prochazka in a way. In the way that any lead that you give him could spell the fight ending soon. And it only takes a couple of combos for him to find his rhythm and to gain the confidence to chase a finish. That's why we see so many round 1 finishes for Carlos Prates and why Yuri Prochazka can lock in in like 3 minutes during a round, even if he's lost a round prior to that or 2 rounds prior to that, because they snowball on the feet. Their striking is very momentum based, and wrestling is how to effectively break apart the tempo so that they can't get this momentum accumulating. Because once it starts to go downhill, it's very heavily in Carlos Pratez's favor as far as who's going to win the fight. Watching the footage of Carlos Pratez's fights, especially against like the Leech and against Radke and against Neil Magny even, because Magny came out and wrestled a bunch, it's really interesting to note Carlos Pratez's ability to chase finishes. It's actually quite magnificent the way that he just makes it all work on the feet. The setup of Prates, it's to instill fear in his opponent and make it so they don't want a phone booth exchange with him. Your kicking range as a welterweight with an average frame is his boxing range. So staying on the outside and picking away at his legs, which is a good strategy trying to win the leg kick battle against Carlos Prates because his mobility is something that he likes to weaponize over fighters, that's smart. But the thing about it is, while you're kicking him from what you consider a safe distance, he can hit you with left hands. His straight punches have the same range as his leg kicks, which is ridiculous, and that's because he's built like Waluigi. Ian Gary had even range against Carlos Prates, maybe not the reach of Prates, since the dude is... Bro, this guy is... He's constructed so crazy. This dude should be in a museum. A lot of different fighters who weren't Ian Gary, though, who did have that ability to keep themselves safe behind range, they didn't invest into the low kick. They just tried to get on the inside and close the distance so that they could box with Carlos Prates. Big mistake. A kick-heavy offense seems to be the best way to approach a fight with Carlos Prates in the stand-up. You need to utilize everything that would give you a range advantage over Carlos Prates because he's going to be abusing his. The second that you start trying to box with Carlos, he's going to move, and he's going to kite you at a distance to where you can't get close enough to land your own punching offense, and he can snipe your chin off at a range that's comfortable for him. And that's like from way downtown. This guy has like Curry range on the feet. It's ridiculous. The thing that makes me nervous about Leon Edwards and his ability to not get slept brutally in this fight is the fact that Leon Edwards predominantly does fight on the back foot. He likes to stay on the outside, pick away with the jab, shoot a leg kick in. He does this weird thing where he kind of like blitzes in to secure a clinch and land maybe some knees or an elbow. Darting in like that against Carlos Prates whenever he's made the read on your entry is very dangerous because he also has devastating knees and elbows himself. And the distance at which Leon Edwards likes to fight at will make it so this forward momentum of Prates can start to take over the fight. Leon Edwards is also very easily perturbed whenever the fight starts slipping out of his control. We see that he's visibly dejected whenever he begins to lose a fight. People have made entire documentary-style videos about Leon Edwards having low confidence in the octagon, and you kind of see it on his face. If he goes down a couple rounds, you can see him sort of kind of start to check out of the fight. It was that way in the Brady matchup, and even against Usman, before his coach talked some sense into him. I think that Carlos Prates' ability to chase finishes is like worth 2 slides dedicated to it, because in my opinion, Prates is one of the best southpaw strikers in the UFC right now. He's really good at fighting orthodox fighters. Leon Edwards is an orthodox fighter who fights out of switch stance, but if he did want to take like a southpaw approach to this fight, we just saw that Carlos Prates is also very effective at fighting southpaws, based off of what he displayed in his fight with Jeff Neal last time he was out. That same stance matchup set up that spinning elbow that he ended up knocking out Jeff Neal with. Leon Edwards has to go first in this fight, or else this outside fighting style that he has, where he likes to escape and play this game of chicken against the cage, escaping laterally there to reset on another part of the cage, it's like closer towards the fence, it's going to get him picked off. And counter-striking Carlos Prates in general is a very difficult ask because of the range and the speed. He can hit you at a place where you feel like you can't be hit, and he can hit you very fast from this position too. And before, like I said, with Leon Edwards and how he likes to crash into the pocket and attempt clinches to try to get some cheeky damage off, that's going to be a problem for him too. Leon Edwards can't afford to just do stuff in there, you know? It can't just be like him autopiloting against Carlos Prates, because that will get him knocked out. His ability to fight backwards may be helpful, but this is going to be a much higher stakes game that he's ever played with any of the other grapplers that he's fought with in this division, because the consequence of him being careless isn't just getting taken down, it's getting taken out. So now we discuss Edwards' advantages. Prates may be very hungry for a KO, and this can be used for Leon to set up a trap similar to how Lerone Murphy baited Aaron Pico, or even how Diego Lopez was able to bait Gian Silva. But Gian Silva doesn't have the range of Carlos Prates, and he's a bit more of a mad dog whenever it comes to shooting into the pocket to try to get close to get his offense off. Carlos Prates will chill and sort of let the knockout form naturally in the cage. Still providing pressure, but not overextending himself to get spinning elbowed, you know. Leon Edwards is a far superior grappler to anything that Carlos Prates has demonstrated that he has, other than winning clinch sequences and stuffing shots from Neil Magny, which, I mean, is a feat in itself, but not that crazy of one. I would definitely rate having a little bit of control time over fighters like Usman and Bilal Muhammad to be a better feat than shucking off a couple of takedowns from Neil Magny. And then above all else, Edwards has the experience, fighting the division's best, but this may be more of a hindrance because Leon Edwards' fighting style has been adapted to fighting grapplers as opposed to strikers. So we'll see how this fight ends up going. I'm going to lock in some potential outcomes right here. Leon gets absolutely heamed with the left hand of Carlos Prates. That's going to be what I'm going to select to happen. Or Edwards wins via Ian Gary Masterclass. Or Edwards gets a beat on the offense of Prates and pieces him up, moving backwards to score his own KO. But, like, who wants to see that?